This episode of Spectre Sound Studios is brought to you by Earchasm Earplugs.
I'm a full-time audio engineer, and the number one thing I have to say to idiot bands is turn your f***ing amp down. I don't give a shit if it's your sound. If you're going to crank your amp, you're not getting anything from me. If it needs to be that loud to sound good, then turn it around. I can only crank the PA so far, and if your amp is twice as loud as the PA, then I can't help you.
Ah, yes, the unknown musician and their sounds brought down many a great band over the years. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 358, the show that's about you, not about me, so let's get to your comments and questions right now.
Sound guys can suck too. Hired someone for a show that had good creds. Mid-show, Duder disappears just as the next band is ready to go with no sound. No communication, no nothing, just an empty board. I had to jump on the board while some other folks hunted the guy down, getting paid to apparently not do his job.
Okay, Cliff, the big question I've got there for you is, did the guy realize he was being hired to do all the bands night, not just yours? Was that made clear? Because it sounds to me like you guys only paid him to do the first band, not the entire show. I could be wrong here. I could be completely off base. But it sounds to me like there was a miscommunication there and assumptions were made and there was no written agreement. So I'm going to say maybe the blame lies on both sides there. Maybe the sound guy should have said, am I doing sound for the whole night? And if that's the case, here's my rate for the entire night. Could be the situation, of course. I could be completely off my rocker. You tell me. Then again, I've been to many a gig where I've seen the sound guy just completely phone it in. You know, just too busy drinking his beer and talking to girls to bother turning the fader up during the guitar solos, that kind of thing. He's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Fucking pay attention. Just gotta move the fader that much. No, that's too much to ask.
Glenn, can you do the reverse video for sound guys? Some points I encounter regularly. It's stage setup time between bands and the sound guy is nowhere to be found. Shit-faced drunk, high. Sound guy not looking at the stage, missing literally every cue I give him. Extra points if the sound guy disappears from front of house during the show. Sound guy not reading the provided rider has no fucking clue about the stuff we bring on stage and didn't care to ask beforehand. You can just grab the monitor mix for your in-ear rig from this monitor speaker. Here, I'll help you real quick. Except it's a passive speaker, you fuckwit, and it'll destroy my equipment. Sound check, what's that for? I checked the first band. You'll do a line check and be good. Except the first band was a fucking pop show and we played death metal and the monitor mix is now as muddy as the Ganges River. What the fuck is a DI box?
Oh, dude. Wow, that's hilarious, you know, because I've done sounds for bands and wanted to take dry tracks so I could reamp later, and I got that exact same question. What's a DI box? You're gonna fuck with my sound. It's like, dude, get the fuck out of the way and let me do my fucking job. I'm not here to fuck up your tone. I'm trying to get the best I possibly can out of it. This is why I don't do sound for live bands, is because they ask you all kinds of stupid questions. Their friends are annoying and they don't pay you. Anyway, but yeah, I can definitely see the list of problems you've had there. That definitely makes a lot of sense, especially when the sound guy disappears when the show is going on. I just don't understand. It's like, what, you had something better to do? It's like, dude, do your fucking job. Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around on all sides. That might be a fun video to do. You guys tell me, do you have some nightmare stories from live gigs? Maybe I could do a special episode on that. Instead of stupid musician text, I could do something like stupid sound guy stories or something like that. That might be an awful lot of fun because I'm going to take a wild guess. More than a couple of you guys have had that kind of experience. I don't know. Leave a comment below. You tell me. And if you've got some screenshots of some text messages, that would be amazing too. You can always hit my About page and send them to me that way. Might be a fun episode.
Thank the venue, thank the sound man, and if you're playing a bar, for the love of God, tip your bartenders and encourage the audience to do the same.
I would definitely agree there. Most bars probably aren't paying a living wage. So if somebody's behind the bar and looking after things for the night, yeah, make them know that you appreciate the fact that they're there. Throw them a bone, throw them a tip, buy an order of drinks and tip them well. Because believe me, they'll appreciate it and they're going to take care of you and they're going to want you to come back.
And another thing, well, if your band has their own engineer, the house engineer of the venue still has the final say. I had a guest engineer come in and loop a speaker cable, not signal, out of my subs and into my monitor wedge, essentially blowing it and dropping my sub amps down to below 2 ohms. Dude wanted to fight me when I showed up and unplugged it. The bar failed to tell me a band was playing that night, but I happened to stroll in anyway. The venue, if they're smart, will almost always have the house guys back and inform them of what's going on. This one didn't, and they had to buy a new amp and monitor wedge, $2,000 mistake of paying me $125 to be there and monitor things.
You mean the bar was cheap and took the least expensive option? No, say it isn't so. That never happens. Seriously though, how you laid it out there, I could definitely see something like that happening, especially to go along and unplug them. Hey dude, what the fuck? You know, yeah. Unfortunately, doing sound at sometimes can be a real pissing match. Now, I've got some friends who play in a band here in Ontario, and their sound engineer they bring along is female. And boy, has she ever gotten some flack for that, for daring to be female and a sound engineer. Like, shows up like, well, she's a girl. She possibly couldn't know what the hell she's doing, which I think is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Obviously, you know, when you go to do a gig and you're using the house PA, it is their equipment, and you should ask before touching anything and make sure everything's cool, run everything by them. It's their gear, you know, it's just common courtesy at that point. But the flip side of that is, you know, just don't automatically assume the person that the band brought along is going to be automatically wrong because of their sex.
Instead of a graveyard, take a shot at the maternity ward. Blood, guts, and gore with some piss and feces. Doesn't get any more metal than that.
Ooh, good idea. Of course, you're talking about my mistakes to avoid when taking band photos video. That one got an awful lot of feedback, and it's still getting feedback, but I think that's the best suggestion ever. I want to see that happen. Yeah, instead of your band doing the stupid band in a stupid graveyard shot, yeah, take it in a maternity ward. I think that's phenomenal. I doubt many of you guys would ever have the guts enough to try something like that.
Man, can you make more videos about photo stuff, or at least recommend some more channels? This stuff is gold.
You know what? I'm sitting on a whole bunch of camera gear here, and, you know, I'm sick and tired of seeing the same camera review videos being made across all these different channels. So I'm thinking I might try doing a couple of Fearless gear reviews on some cameras for stills and video, because let's face it, audio is not enough these days. If you want to open a production facility, you've got to be able to cover a lot more bases than just sound. Video and photo is a huge part of it these days, and it's moving much more into a multimedia type studio. And I'd love to give some advice to you guys out there. Just seeing some of the video that a lot of you guys have made when you were trying out, you know, just for Guitar Edition, a lot of the video was horrible. So obviously there's a need that needs to be filled there. So I'm going to try experimenting on that. So if you guys would like to see that, let me know in the comments below, because I really want to do a couple Fearless gear reviews on some cameras that I think need some serious improvement. And of course, the great thing about me doing Fearless gear reviews about cameras is I already bought them, and I'm not trying to get free stuff from anybody, so they will be real, honest reviews. Hey guys, real quick, this episode has been sponsored by Eargasm earplugs. Now, I've been wearing these plugs at concerts and shows for the last few weeks, and they are nothing short of revolutionary. Now, as a sound engineer, protecting my hearing is mission critical. I never go to a show without some kind of protection, and these guys truly deliver the goods. And that's because they allow you to hear the treble end of the spectrum. Most earplugs will protect your hearing at the cost of the entire top end of the audio. They work like turning a great big treble knob down on your ears. Now, these guys allow you to hear something in your top, but still manage to knock down sound levels by an expected 21 decibels. And they're fantastic. I used them in the photo pit of the Judas Priest concert in Hamilton, Ontario, and my hearing actually survived. And in case you've never seen them, Priest are really loud. I mean, like melt concrete loud. And the Eargasms did the trick, preserving my hearing without destroying the top end. I've also used them at the Who in Pontiac and Haken in Toronto, and each time they have never let me down. And the metal carrying case here is great because I'm terrible for losing earplugs. This case gives me some much needed haptic feedback when I'm checking my pockets, so I make sure I haven't lost them. Now, they're also great in clubs because you can carry on a conversation without having to scream your head off at the person next to you, and you can actually hear what the hell they are trying to say. You can check them out over at eargasm.com, and with each order, you get a pair of filters plus 2 sizes of shells to better fit your ears. I honestly can't recommend these enough, guys. They are truly one of the best pieces of gear I've tried out in years. Now back to the show.
I have 4 Gibsons and 26 other guitars. I have absolutely no issues with them staying in tune. I don't know what people are talking about when they bitch about Gibsons. They literally have the same style hardware and a higher quality than most companies. If it's not staying in tune, it's because you don't know how to tune properly. Making sure the last movement is always tightening it into tune and not loosening. That creates a situation where the string to get caught up in the nut or butter knife bridge, and then as soon as you loosen it, do not bend pick hard. I'm guessing that's the case with these people. They're making BS claims. People need to keep in mind that Gibson uses an actual human to do most of their operations by hand. You either appreciate that or you don't, but it's not making it absolutely perfect like precision CNC machine or robotically painted guitar made large production overseas.
Well, that's hilarious because in my experience, I've spent more time tuning Gibsons than I have recording them. You know, we had a vintage SG that came in and I had to throw out all the tracks because it was like just 4 tracks of that just became a giant chorus pedal. Les Pauls are horrible for staying in tune. We had an Explorer come in and the neck was just doing this. As soon as we get more than 2 people in the studio, a little bit of humidity here, it's just like, oh, for fuck's sakes. They're so fucking unreliable. This is, I'd love to see an Evertune bridge on a Gibson. That would be an improvement. I don't know if they could fit on there or not, but that's something I'd really like to see. Like I said, when I got the Mustaine V, I was shocked by just how well it did stay in tune. And that's probably because they put a Graptec nut on there. That's a big part of it. Some of those older Gibson instruments, they're these wonderful vintage things. No, they stay in tune for shit. They're useless to record with because they don't have any precision, because they're using the old style bone nuts. And those are just fucking terrible for the strings getting caught. That's my experience anyway. If your Gibsons are made out of magic fairy dust and stay in tune all the time, good for you, dude. But here on planet Earth, the experience might be slightly different.
Everyone thought after Gibson restructuring all this QC crap would start to improve, but nope, Gibson is a lost cause.
I fear you may be right. Well, at least they're still Fender.
I enjoy the sarcasm, but I won't buy Chinese guitars. I will Indonesian and Korea, though. After all, those countries aren't our communist enemy like China is. A true nightmare would be to live under the weight of an oppressive, murderous, communist Chinese government.
You may have a point, but then again, if you want oppressive, try growing a cannabis plant in Texas. If you want murderous, try being a high school kid in Florida.
What about that comment crapping on your musical ability? I loved listening and watching you play. Have you ever done a roundup of budget line guitars for us low-confidence basement meddler wannabes?
Yeah, I don't know if this video's out yet or not, but I got the new Harley Benton Goto series guitars. This thing's like $269, and this one over here is like $395 or something like that. Serious bang for the buck, seriously impressive quality, especially when you consider that they cost about 10 times less than a Gibson. Definitely keep your eyes peeled for that one. It's going to be an awful fun video. If it's not out already, it's going to be coming out very, very soon.
406, 446. Yeah, we know it. You don't like Gibson. You're starting to sound like a broken record, pun intended.
Hey, Charles, thanks so much for writing in. I'm so much not a fan of Gibson. I just like guitars that stay in tune. However, I will say this. I just pulled the trigger on an Epiphone Flying V. That hopefully will be in before this video goes live, and I'm hoping to have that review out as well. That's going to be a Fearless Gear review, so that is completely funded by myself because I want to give you guys the consumer experience before you drop your own hard-earned cash on that and give you a real, honest, unfiltered look at how good an Epiphone is going to be. I wasn't too impressed with the Gibson, but I've been hearing a lot of good things about the Epiphone V. A lot of you guys suggested that, so you know what? I'm going to give you guys what you want. So keep your eyes peeled for that one, because nothing would make me happier than to give it a good review, because I want to see good guitars that aren't going to break the bank.
The ad I just got was saying that mixing at home will never get to the same result as professional recording. Come to our for-profit college so we can fuck your finances while you struggle to afford decent gear and start your own studio, because our studios aren't hiring.
Yeah, that sounds about right. About the only for-profit audio school I can recommend is OEART in Ontario, Canada, because if you're an American, you get like a 30% savings on the tuition just because of the exchange rate, and they charge actual reasonable tuition rates, unlike some of the for-profit American schools, which are just like fucking ridiculous and not even worth it at all. Most recording schools are a fucking scam. I'm not going to debate that at all. There's many great online resources out there where you can learn specific metal production techniques that they just aren't going to teach in a fucking school setting. They're going to teach you the basics, but they're not going to teach you how to dial in a raging fucking monstrous metal tone for a 7 or 8 string guitar and dial it in perfectly and which mics to blend and all the rest of this shit. That doesn't happen in recording school. They're just trying to teach you how microphones work, that kind of shit. So yeah, my suggestion would be, for the most part, buy your own gear and get a couple online courses. Check them out over at Spectre Digital if you want. We've got a ton of great stuff in there, including guitar tone mastery and total heavy guitar.
Glenn, what's your opinion on KRK motors? Cheers from Scotland.
I had a set of KRKs there for a number of years. When I first opened this place, I had the KRK V8s. Yeah, great fucking monitors. I wound up going to the event ASP8s after that, and those were pretty good too. But I've been using the Adams for the last couple of years, and those really take the cake. I got the Adam S2As back here, and they're just phenomenal. Something came in yesterday, though. I've got some of the new Eve Audio ones coming in that are going to be part of the grand prize for the last Oldies But Baddies contest. I'm going to do a video on them here before I ship them off to the winner. I'm really looking forward to trying those out. That's the thing. There's so many great monitor options out there these days. You really can't go wrong. Bought my absolute favorite budget speakers, Kali LP6. Can't go wrong with those at all. Just simply awesome.
Hi Glenn, I'd like to say I love your videos and I appreciate your honesty. I would kindly ask you to help out a drummer with no experience of knowledge of recording. I also admit I'm an idiot and know absolutely nothing.
Like any other drummer.
What would you recommend for recording drums in terms of microphones and other specs? It doesn't have to be anything insanely cheap. I would always work overtime to make some extra cash. Furthermore, could you give me any tips on how to set these microphones up and where I should place them? Top drum head, bottom drum, inside, etc. Thank you and continue being amazing.
Hey, Marshall, thanks so much for writing in. First and foremost, I would really recommend checking out my series, How to Record Heavy Drums. Just like search that into the YouTube search bar. It's like a 5-part or 7-part series about miking and that kind of stuff, and it's going to show you where to put the mics, show you where to put the mics, all that kind of stuff. We've also got a version 2 of that, How to Record Heavy Drums too, and I take a look, like how close you should be putting your mics and whatnot. But when it comes to actually buying microphones, I'd say get the best you can afford. Don't cheap out on your drum mics. I understand you have to buy multiple microphones and can get very expensive that way, but do not cheap out on your drum mics because it's just going to make your job that much harder. For my money, the Lewitt Beat Pro 7 kit is absolutely phenomenal, but if you can't afford that, I'd recommend at least getting the 340 TT Tom mics because they're about $99, and we'll give the Sennheiser 421s a serious run for their money. The Lewitt 040 matches will work as overheads, and the 640 Rex is an amazing kick mic. And then, try a couple different mics for rooms, but I'd really recommend getting some room mics because that's where the fun is. I'd much rather have a couple of really good room mics than a shit ton of close mics, to be honest with you. That's just me, though. I could be wrong, but definitely don't cheap out on your drum mics, ever.
27 years at Chrysler, why didn't you stick it out for the full 30?
That's because you guys made it possible for me to leave at 27. It was financially viable, and I saw the way the industry was going there in 2020, and I didn't like what was happening, so it's like, yeah, I had an out, so I took it. You know what? I would rather have, I got to retire at the ripe old age of 49, and I'm super thrilled about that, and you know what? That's 3 more years I didn't have to spend there being miserable doing something I hate. Sure, the money's good, but nobody ever fucking grows up saying, ooh, I want to be an auto worker when I grow up. And guess what? It sucks. I will tell you this. I've never, ever once regretted leaving that place. Not for a fucking heartbeat.
The guy complaining about your playing hasn't gotten the memo that you're a producer, not an active musician, right?
Hey, man! Let's not let facts get in the way of a good burn. Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's like I'm here usually telling the guitar players, yeah, one of us is supposed to have the lightning fast fingers, and that's not me, that's you. And that's the truth. I sit here and play a little bit of guitar, but I'm an engineer first and a guitar player second. So yeah, if you want to complain about my guitar playing, that's great. Come on in and show me how you would do it better. My door's always open. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. If you're at the NAMM show in Anaheim, I'm on the floor. If you see me, come say hi. I've always got time, well, at least I hope I've always got time to hang out and say hi and all that kind of stuff. I love meeting you guys. So if you're on the floor, so am I. Hope to see you there. Anyway, thanks so much again to Eargasm Earplugs for sponsoring this episode. Make sure you check them out. They are truly amazing fucking earplugs. Can't say enough good things about them. I am a true believer in these things. They are just awesome. Anyway, until next time, get out there and make some metal and praise Crom and crush your enemies while you're at it. See ya!